players express interest in modes, they are usually told to learn the shapes of the modes on the fretboard or to memorize what scale degree of the major scale each mode starts on. While both of those methods are useful in one's journey to gain more understanding about their instrument or music in general, it could be argued that there is an easier and perhaps a more musical way, especially for beginners, to start understanding modes. We could call this the "what's the difference" method. First, let's make it clear that this is not a unique idea, and there are YouTube videos, for example, that discuss this method. They may not call it what we call it here, but the overall point is that this way of thinking is quite often ignored when teaching newcomers about modes. Now let's start with a concrete example and learn what the Lydian mode is. The Lydian mode is one of the three major modes, so we'll be comparing it to the major scale. Yes, you will have to know what the major scale is, but fear not, you probably already know at least the sound of it. The major scale is made up of whole steps and half steps. Whole steps are longer and half steps are shorter. If you start with any note, go up a whole step, then another whole step, then a half step, then up 3 whole steps, and finally a half step, you've got the major scale. And here is the Lydian mode starting on the same note. Here's major. And here is the Lydian mode. Now let's ask ourselves, what's the difference? Yes, you got it right. One note is different. In the Lydian mode, the fourth note is half a step higher than the fourth note of the regular major scale. We can call this a raised fourth or a sharp 4. This hashtag symbol in music stands for sharp. So all you have to remember is Lydian equals sharp 4. Now, why do we argue that this is a simpler and probably a more musical way to dive into the world of modes? Well, let's compare this to one of the ways a lot of people are taught to remember or memorize what each mode is. Let's say someone is told to play the D Lydian mode. The thought process could go something like this. Question: what degree of the major scale is the Lydian mode based on? Answer: the Lydian mode is the fourth mode of the major scale. Question: right, but now we want to play D Lydian, so what major scale has the note D as its fourth note? Then you have to count backwards to come to the conclusion that the answer is A major. Now play the A major scale, but start on the fourth note. Have fun. Now, if you're a beginner or don't know anything about music theory, you don't have to understand the thought process that was involved there. But let's compare it to the thought process we sort of advertise here. Question: D Lydian? Answer: raise the fourth. Lydian equals sharp 4. That's right, find D, then pretend to play the major scale but raise the fourth. Easy. Okay, but why would we suggest this could be a more musical way to start getting to know the modes? It is because you can jump into it a lot quicker without having to use brain power to call up complex shapes or go through thought processes like we demonstrated earlier. You can concentrate on the actual sound of the mode and compare it to the regular major scale. Next, let's learn the Mixolydian mode. The Mixolydian is yet another major mode, so we'll be comparing it to the major scale as well. Starting on the same note, here's Mixolydian. Now, ask yourself, what's the difference? Yes, the seventh note is different. The seventh note is half a step lower than the seventh note in the regular major. Therefore, you can memorize Mixolydian equals flat 7. In music, that symbol that looks like a B is used to indicate a flat, or a note that is half a step flatter than regular. So what about the third major mode? It is called the Ionian mode, but congratulations, you already know it. The Ionian mode is the same as the major scale. Let's review what we've talked about here. We believe that if you would have to choose a starting point for new and even more experienced musicians alike to get familiar with modes, we'd recommend this simple and to-the-point method of just asking, what's the difference? The other methods are important as well and will provide the student with more understanding, but we think it would be greatly beneficial to first really understand the differences of the modes on this basic level. So remember, Ionian equals major scale. Lydian equals raise the fourth. Mixolydian equals lower the seventh. Those three major modes of the major scale are a great place to start. We'll focus on the minor modes in part 2. If you have any questions, if you spotted any mistakes, or if you would like to know more about something mentioned in this video, please comment below. Thanks for watching.